All right. Welcome to Planet Watch for Aquarius 2021. I'm joined here by Mary Jane Staudenmann, our astrologer in Geneva, Switzerland. Boy, we've got
Hello,
a
everyone.
this month coming up. Hey, Mary Jane.
Yeah, how are you doing, Chris?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you doing?
Well, hanging in there. I've been drawing pictures around this ingress, the solar ingress into Aquarius, and it's going to be trying times. So, fasten your seatbelts, and we'll
Oh
get
boy.
going.
There's so much promise around this conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter last
Oh
time,
yeah, yep.
right? So I was feeling a little cautiously optimistic, but then no,
Oh
huh?
no, no, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. In the big picture, we've got to keep our eyes on the big picture because this Saturn Jupiter conjunction is in fact launching a period that's full of promise, that's full of changes, it's full of reform,
Mhm.
uh, it's full of getting back so in a social mood to be talking to each other, to be communicating, to be organizing in working organizations for people. This is already wonderful. Getting ahead in a whole lot of social issues. It's going to take time, and the thing is, well, let's talk about this a bit. First of all, as the conjunction happened and is still happening, will be more or less functional for the next 4 months in Aquarius. But what's exciting is that now with the sun coming into Aquarius, it's going to activate, really shoot us off the ground into this new energy. This is where it's turning on for us. So it's an important month with this in mind. We've got to use this energy on a very personal basis, as well as our governments and our civilizations and our associations. We've got to use this power to get our own projects off the ground, to look into our own reforms. I know we'll be talking more about this in on Saturday in your podcast, and I'm looking forward to that because it is a fantastic time to be getting ourselves stirred up again and
Well, and
getting out of a doldrum.
let me do clarify. This is the webinar that we are doing Saturday, January 16th, which as we record this is tomorrow morning. And it's the New Year, New Energy, New Beginnings webinar. So yeah, clarifying that. Yes.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So this is the time where things are really getting off the ground. This is the time all that exciting and optimistic thinking was going on. This is the time where it's going to be activated. This is real. We've really lit the fuse and waiting for the fireworks. Let me just say about that. In the week to come, Saturn, don't the Soleil is coming. The sun is coming over Saturn first on the 24th of January,
Right.
and we'll be hitting Jupiter then on the 28th of January. And it's this last month of January that's going to say, let's get going. It's time to get our feet off the ground and start moving. So at the same time that all this is going on, uh, there is an important conjunction of Mars and Uranus in Taurus that's doing some other stuff to us. And these two, it's a very important conjunction and very violent, very explosive conjunction. This is anger. It's people in the streets. It's fighting back, and we're going to see a lot of that in all layers of civilization and in all of the countries that we know about. It's like the winter of our discontent. Really, this is it.
We
So
see,
what happens
okay.
here? It's a very explosive thing, and this conjunction will be very active from the 18th to the 31st of January, really, and beyond. We're going to be feeling it, but
We're
it's a
really ahead of
reactionary
the time.
kind of a violence.
Right. So we've seen it. I think we saw a glimpse of that January 6th in Washington, D.C. in this country.
Absolutely,
Right. And then
absolutely,
we've got, so the events that you're talking about come around during the week of the inauguration of the new
exactly,
president.
exactly. And there's another movement a little later. Sorry.
Oh my. So it just seems to be really bad timing in a way.
In a way, well, it's interesting because in America, the presidential inauguration is always this first
Exactly.
day of Aquarius, and it's always full of hope for change and for a new enlightenment. This is built into the system as it is right now. This year is particularly weird because of this conjunction in Aquarius, the sun coming in and hitting on this powerful conjunction and getting a lot of resonance from this square that's happening. There's a lot of reactionary and conservative fight back
Mm.
and violence that's going to say, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't do what you want to do. So one and the other, it's going to be a particularly strange inauguration in the States.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, it is. And it's going to be really, the moon is coming over on the 21st, is already going to be active on the 20th, but I think the 21st of January is going to be even more strange to see. And then when the full moon comes across on the 28th of January, again, this is activating this square. So it's going to be tough times. It's going to be tough times for your new president to get his cabinet lined up, get his government off the ground, get his ideas moving. It's going to take just a lot of time, a lot of time.
Oh dear. Yeah, I was afraid of
Yeah,
that.
he's getting involved in a very bad timing as far as getting things started. It looks rather dangerous. I must say, I'm expecting some noisy violence. We'll have to look out for explosions, bomb scares, and so on. This is very real,
Right.
and yeah, it's going to go on like that.
Well, right. For how long does this energy stick around?
Well, the very tight conjunction of Mars and Uranus, which is particularly dangerous, is going on through the 31st of January. So by then we should start to see the dust falling and be out of the way of serious violence, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are other trends that are showing up that might push things a little bit, but this uh, this overreaction seems to go on though for quite a while, for the entire time that well, Venus is going to stay in square with these other planets for a while, especially to Uranus. So the feeling is there. There's this necessity to fight back, to keep a hold on what exists, just tends to go on. And it can take a lot of different forms. I'm looking for, especially with this Uranus and now Mars in Taurus, we're going to see fights around reserves of oil, mining rights, territorial rights. This is going to be extremely important in these first weeks of February. And so we're going, among other things, Biden is going to have to put some order in the mining and drilling rights around the country.
Sure. Sure. Wow. Um, and so I'm just looking at the notes that you sent me ahead of this. Venus conjunction Pluto with the moon looking on sets up new and powerful money and material alliances. Mm, yeah, what's
Keep your eye on Bitcoin. Keep your eye on all of the virtual monies.
interesting?
This is a time when, first of all, especially with Venus coming into this alliance with Pluto, we're going to see some the bubble. I'm thinking that this is maybe a long term, but bubble anyway. It's a sort of a bump in the road that I think is going to explode sometime soon. But is meanwhile creating a lot of buzz in all of the banking systems and in all of the networks. People are going crazy buying and selling Bitcoins and other monies, in fact.
It's interesting because PayPal now you can buy Bitcoin on PayPal, which is to me that was really revolutionary and just like a huge development. And then I believe Amazon might be accepting Bitcoin as payment.
Yeah,
Quote me on
everybody
that.
wants to jump in, but it's
Isn't that interesting?
well, it is. I find it very scary because this is not real money,
Right.
huh? And
Exactly.
this is where, to my thinking, a little farther down the line now, this first conjunction of Venus and Pluto is again through the end of January, the 27th and to the 31st of January specifically. However, oh, and we're going to talk in that same period about some new uh, what do you say, mergers between major companies. I think this is already going on the networks, huh? I haven't kept up with it all. WhatsApp is transferring over to someplace else, and there'll be a bit of craziness around this period too, just realigning uh, industrial alliances. Um, However, very soon after the 1st of February, Venus is moving into Aquarius and joining these lawmaking reform planets of Saturn and Jupiter. She's going to be changing her alliances somewhat in herself. And I think this is going to be the period of new legal controls on these movements. First of all, on mergers, and certainly second of all on the virtual monies and bank treatments.
Right. Right.
All kinds of banking systems, in fact, are going to come under the wheels. They're going to be called up. They're going to be to have a new necessity of responding to criticism, responding to control. There's going to be a lot of movement within banking circles. These with Venus. Venus is money. Venus has everything to do with our things that are important to us, but also money, movements of money. And so as she comes into Aquarius now, she's going to join the hook on the train of reform, of creating new laws, ways of acting well in this new reform, coming again into the square with Uranus. But this is all part of the process of reform, the
Mhm.
shock of change.
Right. Yeah. The pendulum swinging
Exactly,
in
exactly.
the center. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about Venus, because she's one of my favorite people.
She is. She is. She wrote a book about her in Mars.
She's yeah, she's a biggie. She's very active, very physically active. And at the beginning of February, especially the 2nd, 3rd of February, when she hooks up with Jupiter and Saturn, we're going to see some new laws, some new legislation concerning marriage. I think in a lot of countries, same-sex marriages are going to be allowed, going to be finally allowed, and we're going to see issues on other women's issues as well. A little later, we're going to see, at the end of February, we're going to see some activity around abortion rights, around other women's issues, health issues, I expect are going to be important through there. So Venus is not finished doing her thing this month.
Right.
She's going to keep us on our toes, which is
Now,
fine.
could that movement also be toward limiting women's rights?
Can do. Again, we're not under this idea of having to fight for our rights. This is where legislation is going to be challenged. Any law, any new bills that are put on the table are going to be, holy moly, just very, very much
Right.
criticized, and there'll be a great deal of backlash.
Well, I asked because I know the Supreme Court is looking at banning certain types of abortifacient medications.
Yes,
And
yeah, that's right.
so I was just wondering if that energy could
Mm.
contribute to like a ruling either way.
Yes,
Just
true. It can
bringing
it can
women.
go either way, but I'm confident in Venus, who's finally the ruler of these planets in Taurus. Let's not forget that they have to respond to each other. In fact, there's going to be a very interesting exchange between Venus and Uranus. This is pure shock value. Venus is in Uranus's sign. Uranus is in Venus's sign, this is what we call a mutual reception. And when they're in square like this, it's like close neighbors who are cousins, even, who are throwing flower pots over the clôture of the grill in between their houses. You know, it's open warfare, but so close that they finally just lose track of each other. And it's an interesting time, but it's again part of the cycle, part of this
At the
process
cycle.
of
Right.
change.
Yeah.
Now, in connecting with all this, and I want to look at the moon for a minute, because while these major trends are taking up a lot of airspace, the moon is clicking around. You know, every day she goes 12 degrees about, and gets a lot of territory covered. So she's got some things, some interesting dates for us to watch very closely. Um, I'm thinking that there will be a couple of periods in this next month when family quarrels are breaking out. They're both times I'm
Mhm.
looking at are on a Sunday, which is maybe typical. I don't know. People are stuck at home, and all they've got to do is fight with each other. The first one is the 24th of January, which looks like a day of just important family squabbles, issues that have been underground, and people are getting, you know, kind of sick of looking at each other in confinement. All of a sudden come to the fore, and
Mhm.
a lot of it has to do with household matters, budgetary matters. You don't take out the garbage, you know, you don't make dinner that I like. All these silly arguments that finally have to be decided.
Right.
The 27th of January, at the same time, there's room for a new consensus. There's room for smoothing things out, getting over the lumps. There's a repetition of this whole family strife on the 7th of February, also a Sunday, same sky. A new consensus on the 9th of February. You might get everybody in a mood for St. Valentine's Day. I don't know. You can only hope.
Right.
Actually.
Right.
But these are days where you want to, all of us, I think, want to kind of, you know, as they say in French, you roll your tongue over in your mouth 3 times before you get in a fight. Think it over. Think if these things are important,
Yeah.
and if there are ways to find the middle ground between your arguments and the other guy's arguments. It's a good time to practice a certain family diplomacy.
Right.
That's about all we can do with this kind of a moon, but I like to point them out. There's some other dates that we have to kind of be careful, though, with the 5th of February. I want all of you folks to be very careful driving and keep an eye open for the cops, because this is a day where you don't want to park badly. You don't want to drive over the speed limit. You're just very likely to make someone very angry. And just be very careful driving too. Got a
Yeah.
very strange
Good
moon hitting
advice.
Mercury there, and
Yeah.
it's not a wonderful day to be traveling all together. If you've got,
Really.
you know, planes to catch and stuff like that, check your schedules. The scheduling looks terrible, and it's just hard to. There'll be delays. There'll be a lot of technical problems. It's just not a wonderful day to be out planning a long trip anyway.
Oh,
5th of
yeah.
February then.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, it is. And then the 8th and to the 10th of February, and
Mhm.
even into the 12th of February, this moon is coming crashing into all these planets in Aquarius, square to Uranus, square to Mars, and we're going to see new tensions, probably through the Congress, American Congress, as new laws and new cabinet members are put into place. This looks like a fairly awful time to get anything done very solidly or very smoothly in any case. The new moon there is on the 11th of February and may help a little bit to smooth things out and get people in a proper mood to get on with the show, right? But through that time, through all those 12, what are we looking at, a week, it looks very tense as far as
Mm.
people talking to each other, especially on an organizational level. This can be going on in people's job situations as well. It's just a very hard time to get the organogram lined up, get everyone in new places. There's a huge idea of changing posts as well. And this could be important for a lot of people, perhaps. Huh?
Right, absolutely.
That new moon is going to be very interesting, though, I think, on the 11th of February. It's still under the auspices of this Aquarian energy, and it's another time to say, all right, we've been, dilly-dallying and throwing flower pots at each other long enough. It's time to get going on a forward track.
Right, exactly, because all this bickering and infighting and fighting amongst the parties, etc., is not moving anybody forward at
No,
all
really
in
not,
any
really not.
direction.
And it's just awful to waste all this very important Aquarian energy on silly stuff and old stuff. This is all throwing us back to me first kind of thinking, especially dealing with drilling rights and all the rest, having to deal with land rights and so on.
Mhm.
That's so 2010. It's just, we don't need this anymore. It's time to
Exactly.
get out of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Right. We've got bigger fish to fry. We've got new things to tackle. We've got new things to do.
Oh, precisely.
So we, just with that, just like I said, that just wastes time, everybody's time to spend on, well, you are red, so I don't like you, and I will not let you pass anything. And you are blue, so I will block everything you try to do. And that doesn't get anybody forward.
No, really, really, it's just so old. I was talking about, well, first of all, the interest of Venus down here toward the middle of February and the end of February.
Yeah.
Mars is coming into position, a very useful position with Pluto, in a trine position to Pluto the 15th through the 20th of February. Now, and Mars is the moon is coming over Mars at the same time. So the conservative parties, the conservative factions are going to get a considerable leg up. This is an important plus. They're feeling their muscles. See, our arguments weren't that far-fetched after all. We've got to get back to something more more serious and less fuzzy-minded than all this new liberalism and so on. And as Mars is coming square then to Venus and also to Pallas Athena, which is interesting, this is going to create trouble for, again, abortion rights going through, a pro-abortion legislation going through, and other women's issues at the same time. So the second part of February, before we get into Pisces, is going to be a bit touchy like that.
Now, when you say that it's coming into Pallas Athena is how I usually pronounce it, but I think that your pronunciation is probably closer to what it is. Anyway, that's an ascended master. How does that work?
Is that right? Pallas Athena, well, is in astrology, it's seen as one of the asteroids.
Ah,
And yeah, she's her name has been given in any case to this asteroid that seems to accomplish about the same things as the Greek goddess did. That
right.
is to
Wisdom.
say, she was the head legal functionary
Right.
in Athens. She was the protective goddess of the Athenian state. That's how she got kind of started in her law career, but has a lot to say about. She's sort of the Kamala Harris of the 3,000 years ago, but that's okay. Meanwhile, she's been protecting especially women's interests,
Yeah.
and has a lot to say about women's power, women's actions. And I don't know to what if she's involved as a women's rights concern in as a master. Does she
Right.
carry that message?
Oh, absolutely. No, she's one of the ascended masters, of course. And
Uh-huh.
ascended masters, they're not angels. They're They're beings, most often deities. They're quick to tell me not minor deities. There's nothing minor about them.
No,
Uh,
no.
they're- some of some have been human, but ascended masters are service to all of humanity, and they
Yeah,
have the certain bailiwicks that they oversee. And of course, Pallas Athena is wisdom, legal issues, women's issues, that kind of thing.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's her thing. And so Mars is coming, Venus and Pallas Athena are in this close conjunction then in the middle of February. And Mars is coming straight ahead out of his spot there in Taurus saying, where do you women get off? You know, yeah.
You
Where do
uppity women.
you going? Yeah, you lousy bitches. He's trying to, do his heavy patriarchal thing again. And we'll see to what extent he can throw a wrench in the works. In fact, as far as legislation goes, all of these issues that are coming up again in the Medicare system, Obamacare in the States, will certainly have issues that have to be looked at that time.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Sounds like a really intense month coming up,
Yeah, I thought it was going to be easy.
right?
When I looked essentially, I said, well, we've just got these two camps that are okay, going to be fighting with each other, but we can handle that. But in fact, we're all forced to bounce off of this square, to bounce off of this conflict. And all the other planets are having to line up with or line up against one camp or the other. And they sort of changes spots along the way, but it's yeah, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. It's not comfortable.
Well, and but again, overall, the energy coming into 2021 is more of this just kind of new change, new air, right? So,
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
on January 4th, I was on Reverend Sean Whittington's radio show, Vegas Paranormal, Vegas Supernatural, I think. And a caller asked, what I thought of the energy of 2021. I said, well, I'm pretty optimistic. Those of us who have our spiritual poop in a group, we're going to be okay. There's a lot of work to do. Other people are going to have to catch up, but overall, I'm still kind of feeling this overall optimism. Is there
Certainly.
is there
Well,
just
yeah, especially now that we're delivered into Aquarius, or the day we will be, we have this whole month that is based on optimism. The Aquarian energy is one of forward movement, of new organization, new projects, science, getting ahead, changing things that exist, and is basically optimistic. Now, Uranus is kind of dragging his heels in Taurus this particular year. He was there for 7 years. I mean, we've got time to get used to him there. But meanwhile, we'll have to use that, and he's getting certain things done on a scientific basis. But this month he's particularly uncomfortable is the only problem. And with Mars coming over and saying, howdy, let's go for a shooting match, Mars is always looking for a fight. So
oh
one
my
and the
God.
other, it's kind of heavy duty. But no, the basic Aquarian energy is one of optimism, getting some fresh start.
Oh, that's wonderful. This sounds promising in terms of COVID. Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds like
yeah.
there could be some promising movements. What do you think?
Oh, I'm thinking so too. I was very, very hesitant through the fall about these new vaccines that are coming on the scene so fast, and I'm still a little bit scared. But I'm reading the data, and they seem extremely promising. And the local people here in Europe, at least, are going slowly. They're looking for secondary effects. They're looking for any problems that could exist, but they're not necessarily happening. So I'm thinking, yes, let's, in 3 months, we'll be able to go ahead and get this vaccine out there.
Hmm.
So this is going to help like 95% to
Oh,
get rid of this bugger.
Right, and the vaccines really aren't all that new. There have been other coronaviruses, and so they,
Sure.
had a similar structure. And but yeah, I kind of share that cautious optimism as well. Just
Mhm,
kind of wait
mhm.
and see how it goes. But so nothing seems like it's like no new strains. I mean, we don't know if there's any new strains coming up. I think we were kind of surprised by this current new strain, but nothing astrologically speaking that looks like, oh my gosh, public health is having
Oh,
problems
no,
right now.
no, nothing scary like that at all. And
Right.
I think we're going to know a little better where we are once we're delivered into Pisces. That is to say, the 18th of February, I think this is coming up.
Right.
And we'll know a little bit more. Pisces has a lot to say about, well, first of all, the workings of Neptune and also the workings of invisible diseases, hard to detect diseases, and
Right.
so on. So we're going to see a little more clearly, I think, a month down the line. But yeah, I'm thinking certainly nothing we're looking at here has anything really to do with effects on the COVID move.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. So I guess we continue this conversation in Pisces.
Yes, we will. I'll be seeing you in the 18th of February. We'll hit on Pisces and and see what it has in store for us.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Mary Jane. It's been enlightening.
It's been a pleasure, and hang in there. We're going to see it through.